Sanders is getting dragged by some people because he tweeted a whole statement, and amid his statement, he said, "It should come as no great surprise that a Democratic Party which has abandoned working class people would find that the working class has abandoned them. While the Democratic leadership defends the status quo, the American people are angry and want change, and they're right." No, sir, that's not what happened. The policies that the Democrats have put forth were all for working class people, from the child tax credit to the forgiveness of student loan debt to the freaking business, the $50,000 business plan for people starting small businesses, to the $25,000 first-time home buyer. That was all for working class people. It wasn't for the wealthy. The taxes that they were going to put on people making over $100 million was going to impact the billionaire class. You're wrong, Bernie Sanders, and you coming in knowing what you know just makes me very, 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 very sad. Bernie also got less votes than Harris did in his own state of Vermont. Kamala Harris got more votes than you. So no, Democrats showed up. This is not on Democrats. This is on whiteness. This is on a cancer that is killing this country from its inception. This is the original sin. This is what this is, Bernie Sanders. And I always said, this is why I couldn't get behind Bernie Sanders. I know a lot of people love Bernie Sanders, but he is an 86, how old is he? 80-something-year-old white man in a 95% white state from New York, by the way, but you don't live in the world of middle class, working class America. He's 83 years old. So you are out of touch. And you keep talking to black people in particular about poverty and criminal justice reform, which are needed because we're disproportionately impacted by it. But the plan that Kamala Harris had for us would have been so much more impactful in terms of building generational wealth and building that bridge from poverty into middle class. So you shut up and sit down, except 20 years ago, you said something really brilliant. So I'm somebody that's so fair. While I think your statement, released yesterday was out of pocket, what you said 20 years ago rings true. So I'm going to play a couple of clips before we go to break. Roderick Morrow is here. Bernie Sanders 20 years ago said this.
How does the Republican Party do so good? And now I'm going to tell you something that very few people in Congress would tell you. If you are the Republican leadership, and this is what your goals are to give huge tax breaks to the very richest people in this country. Your goals are ultimately to privatize Social Security so that Wall Street can make money from that. Privatize Medicare so the insurance companies can make more money. Privatize education. Do away with public schools. If those are your goals and you said that to the American people, you think you get a lot of lower. There are many members of the Congress today, Republicans, who not only will not raise the minimum wage, which is $5.15 an hour, you know what they will tell you, honestly? They believe in abolishing the minimum wage. Did you know that? Check it out. Telling you the truth. So that if Americans can work for $3 an hour or $2 an hour, not a problem. Now, if you had an agenda like that and you went before the American people, tax breaks for the rich, destruction of Medicare, destruction of Social Security as we know it, lowering the minimum wage or abolishing it, how many votes do you think you'd get? Not a whole lot. Maybe the richest 1% would vote for you. That's not a lot of votes. So what do? Got a problem. You package it. How do you package it? And here's, I want you to pay attention to me. Because this is bad stuff. I don't mind debating people who say, I was on a Hannity show, Sean Hannity yesterday, and Hannity, extreme right-wing guy, he thinks he loves these tax breaks for the rich and so forth. So we had a little bit of a discussion about that. Actually, it was a loud discussion. But I don't mind people who are upfront about that. Okay, give the rich more tax breaks, we can argue that. But that doesn't win you elections. So this is what you do. What you do is divide people up. When you asked me your question, how do I get elected? I said, I try to bring people together. We fight for women's rights. We support the rights of minorities. We support the rights of workers. We bring the majority of people together. And occasionally, honest people will have differences of opinion. In this room, there will be differences of opinion. But everybody in this room is in agreement that everybody should have health care, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the blueprint, right? Their goal is Project 2025. When we talk about Project 2025, it is an age-old document that they've added to the point that it's gotten to 900 pages. But the blueprint has always been the same. And people who are Republicans who are in these positions, they've always been, when they talk about small government and getting government out of your pockets and stuff, that didn't quite work. I want to give tax breaks to the rich because I need those donors to come in. That didn't quite work. They can't tell you that they want to dismantle the education system until they get you dumb enough to realize that you could vote for your own demise if we throw at you the divisive stuff, the them, the others, the immigrants, these women. If you can do that, then it's like the 3-card Monty, or the, hide the shell under the thing, like, where's the bouncing ball? Well, it's in their pocket. There's no ball under any of the shells, right? Because they have put the ball in their pocket, and this is what they plan to do. Imagine those of you who have parents that are getting a Social Security check. I always imagined that I wouldn't, by the way, which is why I work so hard to make sure I have my own back. Even in retirement, I can't depend. I got a pension, but I'm not depending on a pension and Social Security for the kind of life I want to live. No, hell no. I'm going to get in where the people with the money, where they reside. Oh, they over here. I'm gonna be over there. And I crafted my situation to mirror that, because either if you're gonna ruin that, you're gonna ruin yourself. So I want to be where you get ruined if you go too far, right? But Social Security, so many people depend on that, Rod. And now they're going to privatize it. What's that going to look like? Medicare, you going to put Robert F. Kennedy in charge of health? Are you kidding me? Man, oh my goodness. And then education. It sounds cute. And as an educator, listen, I think we do way too much standardized tests. I don't think it's right that we do the way we educate our young people. But to privatize that, who's making money? It's like private prisons. We didn't have private prisons. And then when we had them, guess what happened? Crack cocaine, scheduling, and all that, because we got to fill up those private prisons. And where do they exist? In neighborhoods where rich people, not neighborhoods where they live, but in neighborhoods that they control, right? So they want to have those private prisons to have slave labor in these towns that don't have anything going for them. They're pumping money in off of our black bodies, right? So it's a scheme that they got you on this division thing. Let's talk about it when we come back. And I'm going to play the second half of this Bernie Sanders clip, because I thought it was profound. He said this 20 years ago, before there was a Trump, before there was a real Project 2025. Well, there probably was.
Now, what do the Republicans try to do? And they use it in what we call, kind of language that they not upfront about. What do? We divide people up by races. Affirmative action becomes one issue. All them black people are getting the jobs that we white people used to have. Split people, working class, white against black, instead of working together to create decent jobs for all. Those uppity women now, they want the right to choose. We'll split people on the abortion issue. We'll split people up on the gun issue. We'll split people up on religious issues. You follow what I'm saying? So you split people up, and then they end up, if you're a middle-class person, voting against your own interests, and the rich go laughing all the way to the bank. Okay? And they very often play white workers off against everybody else. And we try to bring people together to say, look, we're all in this boat together, whether you're black or white, whether you're Hispanic, whether you're Muslim, whatever you may be. Everybody needs health care. How do we create a health care system that works for all people, not divide people up? Everybody knows that the young people do not make it into the middle class unless they have a decent college education. So how do we make college education accessible to all people? Not an expensive proposition, a tiny, tiny fraction of the president's tax breaks for the rich, if we put into financial aid, would make sure that every young person in this country could go to college without going deeply into debt. You know what? The vast majority of the people support us. But in order to do that, we got to bring everybody together.
Roderick Morrow is here. It's the Karen Hunter Show. Welcome back. Bernie's catching smoke, but I think he's always had the right heart, even if he's a little off right now. And let's not point the fingers at anybody but white people and Hispanics. Them the people that get all of the smoke, Bernie. Don't blame the Democrats.
I think, that's how that's his penchant. That's kind of how he's made his claim to fame, as being the guy who criticizes the Democrats for the last, 20, 30 years or whatever. And it's not that his concerns aren't valid, but I think he actually had a real chance to change this nation and change the course of the nation when he was running for president the first time. And I was so disappointed in his lack of racial knowledge. For a guy who marched with King, I really expected just a little bit more from him. And I think he could have won if he would have, because he needed to get black people on board. And one of the problems with him and white progressives is that there's a refusal to acknowledge black people as part of this coalition are more than just identity politics. Our identity is our economy. So when you say, oh, I don't want to talk about that issue, it's identity politics. Well, reparations is my economic future as well. Housing discrimination is not just a thing that's unfortunate because of racism. It's unfortunate because I can't get a house. Like in building wealth through my house is impossible if we allow that to happen. And so it can't be yada yada. You got to make people feel that. And I think he could have built a broad coalition, especially when he was talking about Wall Street and the financial bubble and the crimes that they were able to get away with. If he had taken one more step and just gone, hey, and who were the victims of those balloon mortgages or that subprime lending? Black people. There you go. Now you done brought everybody together. You mad at Wall Street and you mad at racism? Let's come together. And I don't know for the life of me why he didn't just do that.
I couldn't understand. Listen,
he could have been president.
When he ran, Simone D. Sanders was one of his people. She was one of his press secretaries. And I sat with her and I said, tell him to stop. He came on the show.
Yeah.
And I was like, tell him, don't come on with this is Urban View. This audience is not heavily, incarcerated. This is an audience that makes an average of 130,000. And if it's not you, I'm just telling you what the numbers are, right? So know where the spectrum is. This is an audience that's educated. Don't come in with the poor people talking points. Come with the aspiration of what you're going to do to make people's lives even better. Yes, criminal justice reform and poverty. Yes, but most of us are not poor. Most of us, period. Not just Urban View. 72% of black people are not in poverty. So you're talking to most of us. Talk to us like you got some damn sense. Yes, and he came on. When he came on, Rod, it was the same. He had the thing, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do that, and it says we're gonna poverty, and I was like, and I checked him, and he couldn't take it, and I was like, you're gonna have a hard time. I can never vote for you because you aren't even listening.
That was what especially people in the South, that was what people especially online didn't understand about us in the South, black voters in the South, and why we stuck with Biden that year. They didn't understand. The reason you stick with Biden isn't because he has a perfect record. It's because you can tell him to his face, you don't have a perfect record. You need to do better. And he comes back the next time. You know what I mean? That's the thing that people don't innately understand. It ain't none of these people gonna have a perfect record. You're a politician. You've been around 30, 40 years. Ain't zero of you. If you got a perfect record after 40 years, it's because you ain't did shit. That's just how it works. Because times changed. I remember I was a kid during the 92 crime bill, but I remember people in my community wanting tough, like, y'all got to get tough on this crime. The crack is killing us. But times changed. And you look back and reframe that and you see the consequences and you go, that was a bad move. If you stop coming to the community because you like, man, they mad at me about that one, that's when we know you ain't real. So, like, to me, Bernie got a couple of moments of backlash from black people that just wanted our voices heard. It wasn't the end of the world for him. It was a point of like, include us in this talk about, you can imagine a reframing of the entire economy. You can't imagine reparations. You can imagine a world where we're all united against the 1%, but you see my issues as identity politics and you don't like that. That kind of stuff hurts him, and it mostly hurts America because I think he had a platform that could have united us. But these little easy pot shots at the end, like, where it's always like the Democrats' fault. It just, these are the things that actually make me roll my eyes at Bernie, because it's like, dude, and this is just how, maybe I'm sounding more militant after the election, whatever. But this is my big note out of all this. We just got to stop making excuses for white people that got racism. We cannot keep saying this about some message they not getting. So you telling me black people didn't, we somehow, what did we get food? Why did we know the message? We not working class? a class that is pushed down to be working class, for the record. Like, if they just let us fly, who knows what our race would look like as far as financially and what class we end up. But we get forced into the working class, and then we show out every single time like, nah, we can't be messing with these Republicans. And yet the people that do and the people that stay home, they always get this benefit of doubt. When you said in his clip, when he said these white working class people that just vote against their own self-interest, Bernie, what is their self-interest? Have you asked them? Because you're assuming that it's some money. And some people's self-interest is being interested just in being making sure ain't nobody else getting theirs. You know what I mean?
Period. You better say that. Say that again. I'm sorry, I spoke over you. What's your self-interest, Roderick?
It's making sure some other people ain't getting theirs. Like, that's all they care about, man. It's sad, but it's sobering. And if you can't look, you know what? There's nothing more powerful than a truth you won't tell yourself. And if we allow that to exist in the face of this, if we still are allowing the excuses, the campaign wasn't perfect. What about this issue? If we still allow that, when we saw a man get up there, get up there and promote hatred, bigotry, xenophobia, when we watched a man who's criminal talk about law and order, we watched a man take away people's bodily autonomy. When we saw that, and then we're going to make an excuse for our fellow citizens who voted for that or who sat by on the side and let that happen, your country is cooked if you let that happen. If you're going to fight, the fight starts with saying what we have to say, the ugly truth we have to say, which is there's some people that want this shit. Okay. And it's not okay. We can't look at them and go, well, time to come into coalition. They don't want the coalition. That's the whole point. They are over there to be anti-coalition. So now we need to look at our side in the face and go, what are we going to do about that?
Cool. I got some plans. I have thoughts. Roger Morrow, the black guy who tips. It's I say times make the man, times make the woman. We are in some certain times. We're going to talk a little Meg Thee Stallion today as well. How much culture, I always say, because I borrow this phrase, they love our rhythm, but not our blues. But now it's even deeper than that,
My days are cooler, nights are warmer, and I put the blame on you. Time moves slow, but my heart beats faster. When these eyes are looking right at you, you give me something to believe in, just what I needed. You're the closest.